Okay, we should have sound now. Sorry about that. I'm an idiot. I forgot to put my microphone on. Anywho, let me know the audio and video is working now, and welcome to my photography shopping live stream where we go online and look for deals together on photography equipment. I also have a general open Q&A. I saw Erna had a couple of questions up front, so I'll get to those first, although I normally just get right into deals, but I'll answer your questions. They're pretty quick. And just full disclosure, I'm an affiliate for Amazon and B&H and whatever other things I might promote today. So I'll earn a commission if you guys buy anything through the links. And but I focus mostly on entry-level gear to get you started in photography, and a couple of higher end things, but mostly entry-level gear. And there's some gift ideas in there today as well that we'll get to. But okay, wow, that was awkward, just coming in with just no sound. So let me get to Ernest's questions real quick, and then we'll get started. So I wonder why even in the darkest place, with Bortle 1, sky become light and gray with a single long exposure. I thought sky was black, so do we really have... Well, yeah, I mean, the sky is not totally black. There's always some ambient light, even in space, right? From, even though we're looking in the dark side, there's still light rays and everything going on in among all the stars. So yeah, you're always, if your exposure is too long, you'll eventually get a gray sky. So just be conscious of that. But the idea is you don't want to make the exposure so long that happens, but not so short that you have to stack, thousands of images. So what you want to do is, find that balance. Now, for me, I shoot at like ISO 1000 and do 1 minute exposures, but I'm in a Bortle like 8 sky, like really bright skies. So I have to stack tons of images and do some post-processing to get rid of the light pollution. In a Bortle 1 sky, my settings would be exactly the same. But typically 2-3 minutes is about the longest I've seen, with using a regular camera. Longer than that, you're going to start to get some uh, some of the noise is caused, or not, I shouldn't say noise, but some of the light that you see is actually noise in the camera from the heat generated by the sensor. So there's that too. So that's why a lot of astrophotographers like to use micro four thirds sensors, not necessarily cameras, but a lot of telescope cameras are micro four thirds because the smaller sensor generates less heat. There's also things called like amp glow, where the circuits surrounding the sensor generate some heat and cause a little bit of a glow into the exposure. So it's probably, with super long exposures, it's probably going to be a lot of heat noise from heat around the sensor and the sensor itself. In the Sunday video, you said you can't shoot micro four thirds the same way you shoot full frame. What do you mean exactly besides adding 2 stops for exposure? So basically micro four thirds, the main issue with micro four thirds is the pixel pitch. We have a very, very fine pixel pitch, or very small pixel pitch, I should say. So you have to be very conscious of shutter speed. For example, there's the rule of double your focal length for your shutter speed. So if you're going to shoot at 1/50th of a second, I'm sorry, if you're going to shoot a 25 millimeter lens, right? The 25 1.8 prime lens on a micro four thirds, the rule is to shoot at 1/50th of a second. But because the pixel pitch is so fine, and image stabilization aside, right? I would recommend 4 times, like shoot at 1/100th or 1/200th, like in that range, as a minimum shutter speed to minimize camera shake and motion blur from holding the camera. So, because you will see when you pixel peep very fine, very fine hints of motion blur if you're not using a fast enough shutter speed. So that's one. The other thing is, I'm not sure, the adding 2 stops of exposure. I don't know what you mean exactly by that, but uh, maybe I misspoke if I didn't make that clear. But when we're talking about 2 stops, what I meant is that you really have about 2 stops of dynamic range in either direction in post-processing. If you underexpose an image by more than 2 stops, in Micro Four Thirds, and this goes back to the idea of the fine pixel pitch, you're gonna get a lot of noise in the shadow areas if you try and recover those shadow areas. And then on the positive side, if you go overexposed by more than 2 stops, you could clip highlights. And most digital cameras are very sensitive to highlights anyway. Uh, so that I would say that's a good rule of thumb for any sensor size. Don't go more than 2 stops over. But in Micro Four Thirds, just it's easy to remember. Don't do more than plus or minus 2 stops of exposure from neutral gray, right? So that's the other thing. So it's all related to the pixel pitch, and with shutter speed in particular, and then exposure plus or minus 2 stops. Because a lot of full frame cameras, like a 24 megapixel full frame camera, you can probably go 5 stops and recover shadow areas with not much noise. That's the experience I had when I had my Nikon D750. I can do 3-4 stops easy with my Nikon DF because the pixel pitch is so big. The signal to noise ratio is very high, so you can underexpose by quite a bit and still get uh, pretty good results. So that's the kind of gist of it. Okay. And good morning, good morning. Seraphin is here. I'm glad we were able to figure out what was going on with the autofocus. And good morning, Marcia and Roger and Paul and Jeff. Good to see all you guys. And the Great Vanzini. And Paul has a question. Any thoughts on reflex camera filters? No. Not familiar with that brand. Let me just take a quick look, though. If I can get a first impression. It looks like they're just filters, UV filters, polarizers, NDs, some specialty filters. So, oh, why is my... The problem is when I hit start streaming, I didn't mean to go live. I just wanted to get the camera turned on, and it went live, and I didn't get everything set up properly, like the audio. Uh, yeah, sorry, I don't see anything particularly special about them. I'd show you the screen I'm looking at, but my screen's my thing is not working. Which is going to be a problem because I want to show you my screen for the deals. Let me just plug and unplug it. Maybe that'll do it. Nope. What if I open the app for it? Of course, there's an update. I need to get to my screen. Uh, I guess that's it. I'll just have to do it manually. All right, let's go to the deal page. And if you go to robtrek.com/deals, it'll take you to this page here. So I found a couple of new things, and a couple of things that have been on the list a while. They're still on sale. But you know, the Passport Color Checker makes a great gift, as well as something you would get for yourself if you don't have one already. I use this all the time to help me with my white balance, like in my flash photography and also my videography. Setting your white balance can make a key difference. So you could just get some white balance cards for about $7, or just use a piece of paper, right? But this also has the color bars on here, right? The color blocks. And this will actually calibrate various cameras if you shoot multiple different cameras, even within the same brand, so that all the colors match between cameras. Even more so when you have less than ideal lighting or mixed lighting, having a color, you know, these color blocks will also help you to get more accurate colors in your images. So this is very popular with like videographers and photographers, particularly if you do product photography. Getting the colors right is critical in product photography. I can't tell you how many things I see online, particularly clothing, that the color's never what you see online. And that's because they don't calibrate their cameras, and they don't calibrate the images using a color checker like this, and they certainly don't get the white balance right. So this is very, very important. So I would say that you know, if you want accurate colors, this is the best way to do it. And I do use this all the time. It's also good for creating your own color profiles. I haven't done that much, but I have uh, calibrated cameras. For example, you know, when I was shooting the Lumix LX100 Mark II, I didn't like the colors out of the coming out of it, even from the raw image. And I had a real hard time tweaking them in post-processing to get them to look what I'm kind of used to, or what I like better are the Olympus and OM System colors. So Olympus and OM System is actually pretty accurate colors, more so than my LX100 Mark II was. So using this color checker, I was able to create a color profile, and bam, you know, immediately I started, you know, I was very happy with the colors that I got from my LX100. So that's just one scenario. I would imagine a lot of Sony shooters probably would enjoy, you know, doing something like this as well, particularly the older Sony cameras. But yeah, this is a great tool for yourself and as a gift to other photographers. The only caveat is you need a software that will uh, a photo editor that can use the color checker Passport. So Photolab 9.2 and Lightroom both have integrated uh, like plugins so that you can calibrate your colors using a color checker Passport. Okay, and a compressed air blower, you know, the key thing here is, again, uh, you want to make sure there's brushes on the nozzle, because there's a lot of these things out there, you know, all at about this price point. And this one I thought was the best deal, and also has the brushes on the nozzle. Uh, as you can see in the bottom, I can't seem to get it to right here. This nozzle right here has the brushes. Then it comes with some assorted brushes, but that makes a huge difference in cleaning, particularly like your keyboard on your desk, right? uh, but also your camera gear, getting into all the nooks and crannies around the dials and buttons, and you know, under the handle. So I use this all the time, constantly. Um, and then, you know, wherever you are, if it's winter time, hand warmers is another thing you have to be very conscious of because there's a lot of them out there at this price point, but they're all very, very different. This one has the decent size power, power rating, 10,000 milliamps. That's actually 5,000 each. But a lot of them will tell you they're 6,000 milliamps, but it's really only 3,000 each. This will last you 4 or 5 hours easy. All right. And also you can use this as a mini power bank to charge your camera batteries. And also it has a flashlight, which I really like. So it's very handy and it's magnetic. So you can stick it, on the trunk of your car when you need to just do something hands-free of the flashlight. And on top of that, it has a flat edge, so you can stand these up on a table. Uh, I know that sounds insignificant, but you know, when I turn the flashlight on and I have no place to stick it magnetically, I can just set it on the table, upright, pointing upwards, so that it illuminates the entire area. Uh, or if I want to just set them down when I'm not using them and then pick them up again, just having a flat surface for this thing to sit down on is a big deal. I hate the ones that I have to lay down on its side. So that's why I picked these. They're 50% off. 20 bucks is a fair price. Uh, that seems to be what these are going for if I'm looking for all of these things kind of built into one. And these also look like they are warm all the way around, 360 degrees. So that also makes a difference too, and they're easier to hold. So I like these, and they also have a little lanyard uh, hook, right, or loop. So what I like to do sometimes is I'll wear these on a lanyard, so when I pick up my camera, I can let go of the hand warmers, and they just hang off my wrist, and I can take a few shots, and then I can put the camera back down, right, because it's on a neck strap, and then hold the hand warmers again. So yeah, so this has it all. This has it all, okay? If you're not going to get these, those are the things you need to look for, right? If you can find a better deal, go ahead, but this is a no-brainer to me as far as hand warmers go. Okay. A lot of people have been asking me about power banks lately. I've gotten like 3 or 4 questions on this. That doesn't sound like a lot, but for me that's a lot because I don't get a lot of questions, uh, unrelated to camera gear directly, like lenses and cameras. But the common question is, what can I use to power my camera? The most important thing is you need a power supply that is PD compatible or power delivery compatible. Let me disable this. I use this Cooper thing sometimes. Okay. Reload. It gets in the way. But you know, uh, this is 145 watts, so it's kind of implied it's PD compatible at this point, and being USB-C. It has a built-in USB-C cable, so you don't have to carry one around separately. So I like that, but it also has, 2 extra ports, a regular USB-C port and a USB-A port for more generic cables and powering other types of devices. But you need at least a PD 45 watt, 60 watt is ideal if you're going to power your cameras. Okay, like any camera. I know a lot of the Canon cameras, some of them work on a PD, like on a lower power output, but a lot of them don't. They require a minimum 60 watt PD power supply. So our OM system cameras can work with a 45 watt. The reason I'm recommending this, because you can save about maybe about $12 if you buy like a PD 45 or PD 60 watt version of this. Same milliamp, right? And you save about $12 getting, say, a PD 60 watt. But the reason I recommend this is because, you can use this for more than just charging your camera, right? Obviously, iPads and phones and other small devices, but specifically, if you're a laptop type person, you can power your laptop with this, being at 145 watts. Now, I'm not talking about the high-end giant gaming laptops, but for most of us, the MacBooks, the regular laptops, even with NVIDIA, like even my computer, which is pretty high-end, can run off a 100-watt PD power supply. So this is a really useful and very versatile. If you want to take your laptop with you, you know, not very often. I don't do that very often personally, but a lot of people do travel with their laptops and their cameras and other gear. You want to get 145 watt, and it's worth the extra $12 to get this over, say, the lower power versions, because Ugreen does have another one on sale for like $28 somewhere. Yeah, this one. This is a 45 watt. This'll run the camera overnight, okay? So if that's all you want to do, yeah, just save $12 and get this one. But I recommend just spend the extra $12 and get one that is actually much more versatile, and you'll get a lot more use out of this than you will the other one. The other question I get commonly is, here's another one from Ugreen. Same milliamp output, a little bit less on the output power. In fact, this is 72 watt out of a single port. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's the battery. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by 72 watt hours. They're probably talking about this 20,000 milliamp times the voltage. But in any case, what's the difference between, say, something like this, because this one is $10 more. Same milliamp, a little bit less on the output even. Well, the thing is with a device like this, it's easier to run multiple cameras and devices off of it than the other one. These devices, typically, this one has enough power to run multiple cameras, but typically, you know, like if we go back to this $12 or $28 one, you know, you're not going to be able to run two cameras at the same time off of this. But these ones that are square, you can easily run a couple of devices on it because you have two USB ports here and a USB-A port. You also have the display, which is very useful in seeing the output for each device to make sure you're getting enough power to it. And the square form factor is a little more conducive to tabletop type use, right? Whereas personally I prefer the flat rectangular ones because they're easier to travel with. You can kind of stuff them in the front pocket of your messenger bag or backpack. These you're going to have to put inside, right? You're not going to just stuff that in the front pocket. But I do like the informational display. It's very handy in diagnosing problems that you might be having with power delivery. But $10 more if you want the display and to run multiple devices at the same time. This is a little better choice, but I think the one that I showed before is probably the best value in terms of versatility and power output. Okay. Oh, the hand warmers are unavailable, Peter? So when I click on it, oh yeah, it's going to take a while to get. They're selling out. Let's see if I can find a good alternative that's available. What's this AI smart chip in a hand warmer? Really? Do you need AI for a hand warmer? Here's a pair. Let's see. These are $6 more, but they're not, yeah, they don't stand up and no flashlight. You see what I mean? These cost more, but no flashlight. They don't stand up, but it does work as a power bank. So it's got two functions, but it's missing the other two. And I don't see a little space for a lanyard, right? So that's what I mean. When I look at hand warmers, there's a lot of things I look for, and this is missing 3 of them. How about this one for 23? I see a flat surface, a flashlight, a magnet, and 10,000 milliamps. It doesn't say it can work as a power bank though. Oh, it can, because it's got two ports here. So it'll work. So this is a good alternative, and it's available. The one thing I don't see is a lanyard hole. Oh, it does. It does. You can't put a lanyard on it. They have them right here. So this is a good alternative. I'll add this to my list. It's $4 more, but let me look one more time. Yeah, don't get that. 12,000. These are flat. These are terrible. I will say though, the flat ones, the ones that are flat, you can stuff inside your gloves. So, you know, that's kind of nice because I have some flat ones and I do that sometimes. I stuff them inside my gloves, but it just makes it real awkward to hold the camera, you know? So I don't recommend that, but I've done it when I'm really freaking cold. I I I got the round ones and the flat ones, and I put the flat ones in my gloves. But it makes it awkward to hold the camera because you got like gorilla hands. Let's see. These are these 10,000 milliamp? Let's see. Oh, but no flashlight. Yeah, forget it. Can't tell you how many times I've used the flashlight, okay, on my little hand warmer. I think that's it. Yeah. I have these. These are pretty good. They have a flashlight, lanyard, but no magnet. But no magnet. But these work really well. But okay, we'll move on. Okay, this is an excellent deal for an ND filter. 62 millimeter filter thread. The 58 millimeter is $5 more this time, but you know, ND 1000 lets you shoot in the daytime and get long exposures. I mean, you're not going to take a picture of the sun, but if it's a bright day, you can get long exposures on waterfalls. 30 seconds easy. You know, maybe a minute if it's not quite broad daylight. You know, if it's a little cloudy out, you can get like a 1 minute exposure outdoors. So 10 bucks, no brainer. If you don't have an ND 1000 filter, I recommend you get one. This will also allow you, if you're an OM system shooter, use live comp in the daytime. You don't have to wait for night and do light trails. You can go in the daytime and do cloud trails. Those are kind of neat to do. I've been meaning to do that. It just, you have to sit there and let the camera sit there for an hour, right? I just haven't had time to do that. But uh, and all the conditions have to be right. It has to be partly cloudy. It has to be a little bit windy, so the clouds move with some speed, and et cetera, et cetera. But this, you know, there's a lot of applications for an ND1000 filter that you're just not going to be able to do in camera without it. 10 bucks, no brainer. Just get it. Uh, I actually, yeah, I bought this, what, God, 4 years ago. Almost 5 now. But I still use this filter. It works well. 12 bucks. I don't know what I paid for it back in 2021, but I probably paid more than 12 bucks. Let me take a quick look. Because I can just go to my order. I paid $16 for it 5 years ago. So, whoops. I mean, it's awkward when not everything is working here. Okay. Yeah, I paid $16 for this filter, so it's even cheaper now than when I bought it. But I use it, and it works great. These are still on sale. I've had these up on my page for a while. It's a great set. It's just a little awkward, 52 millimeter filter thread. But if you have a lens that you use a lot, that's a 52 millimeter, and you can get a great magnetic filter ND set here for cheap. I mean, these things, you know, you can buy the K&F brand, which in my opinion is not really any better for the most part. I mean, it is better, but not that you could tell the difference uh, without pixel peeping 1,000% maybe. But yeah, this filter thread size is a little awkward for Micro Four Thirds, but for other camera systems, you know, especially I think Nikon has a lot of lenses in this filter thread size, but keep that in mind. Again, true color filter with ND 2 to 4000. This is a great filter for flash photography. I wouldn't use it to slow down or get slow shutter speeds, but this is better for flash photography and videography. And you know, because you don't need 10 stops in videography or flash photography. You need like between 2 and 4, right? So this is a great filter. I use this time to time to when I do flash photography, and this time it's the 55 millimeter thread. So actually the lens I just reviewed, this little whatchamacallit, 7 Artisans 50 millimeter f1.2, this has a 55 millimeter filter thread. So this would be a good lens or a good filter for it. So if you buy that lens, you can get a filter set cheap for it, or a combo filter here pretty cheap. The square filter system, you know, this is something like Thomas Heaton uses a lot. This is a really cheap way to get into this kind of filter system. You know, use a standard 100 by 100 or 100 by 120 filters for graduated filters. You'll have to buy all the filters separately. It comes with an ND1000, but you can buy additional filters. And this, you know, this is very popular with landscape. I thought this was a good deal. There's a lot of you I know still have a GX9, or I assume there's a lot of people out there with a GX9 that love that camera. You can get a nice leather case here for it for $24. I've bought this brand case for a few of my cameras, like my LX100 Mark II, my EM5 Mark II. I waited for them to go on sale like this and got them for like $20, $25. And they're great little cases. They fit well. They're very good. You know, the leather's fine, and it just adds a little bit of protection, but also a little bit extra grip, and it just makes the camera look nicer too if you get this tan color. Okay, same array of bags here. You know, just, you know, this one, and this one, these three are about the same size. So just pick the style that you like the best. I don't think, you know, this one's probably, you know, this one is probably the closest to a Peak Design imitation. This one has the full zip in the front, so it opens up nice and wide in the front. So I kind of like this one the most out of them all. Also has a, you know, really nice divider system in here as well, which, you know, we can stack lenses a lot with Micro Four Thirds in a bag like this size. So I like this, and there's various colors here within $1 of each other, except this white one or beige. But you can get any of these for about the same price. This one here, this is all, you know, I have this bag under the K&F brand. This is a great bag. This only open zips from the top, as you can see from the zipper here. But it's very spacious. I love this divider system. It's very convenient to be able to fold it down sometimes when I want to put bigger lenses in, or fold it up when I have smaller lenses and a flash. You know, it's great. Now, the front and rear pockets are thin, okay? Just like on all of these bags. So just, I should have mentioned that, but all of these bags, the front and rear pockets are kind of thin. So yeah, you can put your phone in there and some filters and lens caps, maybe a battery, but you're not going to stuff a lens in the front pocket, okay? Not that you should, but I'm just letting you know. But yeah, and this one is what, $23 with the coupon. This bag here is a little small, but you know, it's like $6 less or $7 less. This is about 30% smaller, so it only comes with one divider. So if you want like an everyday carry bag, this, you know, if you're just going to go out with a camera and two lenses, this is perfect. Nice and small, because sometimes, you know, every millimeter, every inch counts when you're out doing, you know, street photography. And you don't want some big bulky bag hanging off of you, right? Because you're only bringing the camera and two lenses, if that, or a camera lens and a flash. And this is perfect for that. And it's cheaper. So uh, this is a great backpack. You know, it's small, right? It's relatively small. So you're not going to, you know, this is a good day pack. Or I would say a half day pack. I would use this like half a day. I mean, you could use it all day, obviously, but this I would consider like a half day pack. And lots of dividers, which I really like, and it has a relatively low profile. It's not very thick. So this is perfect, again, for those of us that shoot smaller cameras. I think there's one more backpack. This one's a little bigger. It's a little deeper. So if you carry like your DSLR and full frame cameras, but you don't want to carry a bunch of stuff, this would be a better choice because it's a little bit taller and deeper, so you can stuff bigger lenses and cameras into it. And again, plenty of dividers, everything you could want in the backpack. Uh, Now, this question came up before. This looks like a great, meaning someone had been asking about uh, camera bags that you can, with wheels on them. This is at a price point now that it's definitely worth spending a few dollars more. Like I think the one I recommended was like 200. This one's like $40 more. But this is a hard case. And it's a, you know, this is a major brand, right? Nanook. So this is a very, very high quality luggage case for your camera gear. And I think at this price point, if you're shopping for a case with wheels and a handle, it doesn't get any better than this, and this is an excellent, excellent price. Okay, micro SD card for 70 bucks, 1 TB. You know, if you're shooting those little action cams and DJI things, this is perfect. If you like to shoot an 8K video, you're going to need all the memory you can get. And it's nice not to have to format your card every time you go out, right? You can put so much stuff on a 1 TB card and then delete them eventually when you get to it. So you can use it as a temporary backup of all your files until you properly back things up as well. So, you know, don't use this like as an external storage though, because you're going to run into heating problems with the card. Because I tried it, right? Oh, this would be cool. You know, you can just why get a whole big hard drive or SSD when I can just get this for 70 bucks? It's not going to be as fast, but I can, you know, I'm just using it for backup storage. And the problem you run into is when you start writing to it for any length of time, it starts to throttle and slow down, and it takes 10 times longer to load and offload files from this as opposed to like a dedicated SSD or hard drive, right? You can do like in probably 15, 20 minutes, a full terabyte. But on this card, if you try to offload or onload a terabyte of data, yeah, you're going to be waiting an hour or two. just because it throttles because of overheating. But for recording video and stuff, and for the intents and purposes of what this is designed for, it's perfect, and this is a great price. And then of course, you need to carry extra memory cards with you everywhere. Uh, you don't want to be caught out in the field like I have many times with no memory card. So this is a great little case from K&F. It holds everything. SD cards, micro SD cards, CF Express cards, SIM cards. It's waterproof. It's $11, and it holds all that. Okay, and then I'll just touch on a couple other things, and then I'll leave it open to Q&A from here. So if you have any questions about anything you're shopping for in particular, or if you just general photography questions, we'll just go to an open Q&A. So I'll briefly go over a couple of things here. The 40 to 150 kit lens, this is a no-brainer. You got to have this lens in your kit. This lens is the reason I don't buy the 40 to 150 f2.8, the 40 to 150 f4, because this lens is very sharp, very compact, lightweight, doesn't cost a lot, so you don't have to worry about losing it, or if you drop it, you just buy another one. It's not that expensive, right? And I don't want to say it's $170 is not a lot of money, but when it comes to camera gear, it's better to be out $170 if you drop or break a lens than it is, say, $2,000, right? I would even argue you could use this over the 50 to 200 f2.8, but I won't go that far. That's a stretch. But I just don't see any reason not to have this lens. A couple other lenses on sale here. These two, I believe, are Fujifilm. I forget this one. This one might be a Sony. No, this is also Fuji. So these two lenses, the 12mm f2 and an 85 f1.4, both of these are manual focus, but great focal lengths either way. This will give you an 18mm field of view. It's a really nice wide angle lens for doing astrophotography, like wide field astrophotography, and also for street photography and just even portraits. I mean, a wide angle lens has so many uses to it that, in applications that you can use creatively that a lot of other people would never do. Like a lot of people would never do a portrait with a 12mm lens. But just look at Platon's stuff. Platon does a lot of wide angle portraits and he's very successful, and it makes amazing images. So this is a good deal if you're a Fujifilm shooter. Same thing with the 85. I would probably use this not for portraits. I'd probably use this for doing panoramas. This is a great focal length for doing panoramas. Multi-row panoramas. You can get a lot of detail at 85 millimeters and stitch them together. This one here, this one's got to be a Micro Four Thirds lens, yeah. So again, nice wide angle, pretty fast at f2.8. It's not a full-on fisheye. In fact, this looks like it's a rectilinear lens, but it's not. It's a fisheye. So there's going to be some distortion. Not so much. It's not so bad on Micro Four Thirds, and it's easy enough to correct. But 118 bucks for 7.5 2.8, that's a pretty good deal. And this is the camera that I use now, that you're watching me on now. I paid 150 bucks for it. That's the lowest price this is ever going to be until they come out with like the Link version 3, right? So if you want a great webcam, I can highly recommend this one. This is the microphone set I'm using right now. And some people have commented how much better my audio is now since switching to this mic. So definitely this pair here, awesome for doing webcams, for doing talking head videos, for podcasting. meetings, whatever. And they have a ton of features. The webcam has a ton of features I don't use, but you know, it's on a gimbal. It rotates around. I do use the rotating gimbal thing a lot, you know, to point over to my table. I can highly recommend this webcam. A few other things here. AAA batteries. This is a great deal. Lithium ion, very good. I use these in my flashes that still use AA batteries. The only caveat is that the recycle times are a little bit slower with the lithium ion batteries, ironically, when you buy them in this form. You know, the lithium ion batteries that you get with the flash, you know, the proprietary ones, yeah, those are great, fast recycle times. But the recycle times out of these, and I think it's because of some kind of circuitry, they're upvolting the lithium ion stuff. I don't know, you know, it's very technical. It's over my head. But my real world experience is, yeah, the recycle times are a little slower when you use these, but they last a long time and uh, easy to recharge in this little case, easy to travel with. You know, this, I have this under a different brand name, but it works great. This is kind of a gift idea item, 80 bucks. This is a good deal for a 15-inch frame, picture frame, you know, digital, and people can share photos through the Wi-Fi. You know, I don't use any of that myself. I have one of these. I don't use any of that myself. But the Wi-Fi gives you like the time and date and the weather. You know, it has all kinds of functionality. I don't use it for any of that. I just use it to display pictures. A couple of monitors here. These are great monitors. This is not as good a deal as it was like a week ago, but this is still a great monitor. This is a great monitor at a great price. Just be aware that I believe this one here is a IPS panel. This one here is a VA panel. The VA panels have a little bit less angle of view, meaning if you got to be sitting basically directly in front of the monitor, or just a little bit off to the left or right to get the viewing performance out of it. As soon as you stand up or you know get a few feet to the left or right of this monitor, you know, the contrast is going to drop, the colors are going to fade. It's not going to look great, but it looks amazing when you're just sitting basically in front of it. Okay, yeah, all of this stuff, these are all great little items to have. I love this cable tester. So, you know, just scroll down here and take a look at some other things I've listed. You know, of course, the OM3, my #1 camera, personal favorite camera right now, is on sale. I got an email from OM Systems that I think if you buy directly from OM Systems, you can get an additional 5% off. So in this case, that would be like $100 and some, right? $105 on top of the $20.99. So if you got that email, just go directly to OM Systems and buy it. If you did not get that email, then you can buy it here and I'll make a couple bucks, right? So check out all this stuff. Some lenses are on sale. Of all of these are the two I recommend the most at this price point. These over here, I would probably just try and find them used. But if you don't like to buy used gear, well, this one here is a good price for $270. So these three here, I would just buy them here on Amazon. You might find a better price used, but these are cheap enough that I would just buy them brand new. These two lenses, I'd probably try and find them used because they're kind of pricey. So, but again, there's a lot of people, they just will not buy used gear. They want brand new with warranty. They don't want anyone else's hands to have ever touched it. So I get it. So these are good prices for brand new, but you know, that's just my thoughts on that. And then this is a great tripod. It's a couple dollars higher price than I paid, but it's still much cheaper than any equivalent tripod. This is very, very stable. I use this with my macro rail and my flash, because when you add the macro rail and you add the flash, the camera gets very top heavy. This is an excellent tripod for the money. Even better in terms of stability than the one I recommended a couple weeks ago. that you can't get anymore. It's like $100 now, but it was on sale for like 20. That's a great travel tripod, tabletop tripod. The GVM one that I recommended for just about everything other than really, like if you just need to mount your camera with a small flash, you'll be fine. But if you're going to mount your camera with a macro rail and a larger flash setup, you're going to need more stability. So this works great. Okay, so that about sums it up. Again, it's getting a little close to Christmas so you want to order these now or today if you can, so you can make sure you get them, because I ordered something a week ago and it still hasn't come in. And I ordered for a birthday that's happening this weekend, and I'm a little worried I might not get it in time for the birthday. I mean, it shouldn't take 2 weeks to get here, because they told me delivery estimate was like 3 days. So I should have had this thing last week. So all I'm saying is order now, and it's very likely you'll get it before Christmas. And also, a lot of these deals are going to go away. We'll always find deals throughout the year, especially like Prime Days. But these deals here, there's a lot of these here that are going to be a little bit harder to find later. Particularly like, this Mega Gear. Like this particular leather case will only go on sale like once or twice a year for this specific camera model. You're not seeing my screen. Like this thing here. These things rarely go, they go on sale in one camera model or another for about this price point, but that rotates, and it takes a long time to get back to a GX9. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow. Okay, let me close all my windows down before I crash my computer. There was a great deal at Best Buy for a computer. Let me see if I can find that. I'm gonna do that one last thing. Let's see if it's still on sale. I'm not an affiliate for Best Buy, but this was such a good deal. It tempted me to update my computer, even though I don't need one. It was. Let me just click on. I think it was an HP. Give me a second. Oh, I think I got an email. Let me just check my email. It was probably a flash sale. Ah. Yeah, the deal's over. Damn it. It was $800 off. A Core i9 with a RTX 5070, 32 gig of RAM, 2 terabyte SSD for $12.99. That was a killer deal. Sorry about that. Never mind. Okay. So let me go. Excuse me. My cough button is not working. It was. Okay. Let me scroll up here. Let's see. Peter, good morning. Anthony says, we had a blizzard last night, 25 centimeters of snow, so that's about a foot. And wind gusting up to 130 kilometers per hour. Wow. Wow, that's fast. That's man, that's a lot. So I got your original ones, 2-pack for $9.99. Yeah. I cannot find $10 hand warmers that match the deals that I got last year. Yeah, I still use those. I have them over here charging. It was probably these. I have so many pairs of these. But yeah, lanyard, flashlight, power bank, magnetic, and flat. You know, $10. Actually, I should probably just use these now. My hands are cold. Perfectamundo. I'll put these in my pocket. Okay. Intrigue, good to see you. And Marcia says, I leave rechargeables in my pockets and throwaways inside my gloves. You talking about batteries? Okay. But good to see you either way. And the Great Vanzini says, and similar lens in full frame would be a lot more expensive, bigger, and heavier. Yes. That's always the case with Micro Four Thirds, right? Full frame lenses are always going to be much bigger. And that 40 to 150 lens was one of the extra lenses I bought with my original Olympus. Yeah, me too. I bought mine actually together with my EM10 Mark II 10 years ago. It's been a little more than 10 years now. I think it was in September of 2015, somewhere thereabouts. And Rob, what is your trifecta lenses for Micro Four Thirds? 3 must have. Oh, that's tough, man. I can tell you the lens I use the most is 12 to 45 f4, so that's definitely one. Number two and three are a little bit harder for me to call. What else do I use a lot? Because the 12 to 45 covers a lot. I would have to say the 40 to 150 kit lens, that's definitely number 2 or 3. And the third lens, let me look at my cabinet. What do I use a lot? Oh, hi, Ellie. You know, I'm going to have to go with the 25 millimeter f1.4 from Panasonic. I don't use that lens a lot, but I love it. And I would miss it if I didn't have it. That's one of those things. What? Are you hungry? Is that what it is? You want to eat? Stop. All right. What is it? Are you hungry? Let's go. Psych. Oh, she knows that word. Stop. All right. That's enough. What time is it? Oh, wait, no. It's 11 o'clock. Your feeder should have fed you. Get down. Get down. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, Chuck says, can a battery case provide power back out of the USB port? Generally not. If you're talking about that AA case, that AA charger lithium ion thing, no, it does not. It does not provide power two ways. It's in only. And oh, you just got the frame. Cool. Yeah, it's great. It works well. Oh, and Moxie says, I bought that Dell from your page. Very happy with it. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I remember that Dell. That's a great little laptop. Great laptop. And Chuck says, camera gear across brands are generally made to an amazing standard compared to other consumer goods. Yes. Uh, yeah, it's amazing, right? These third-party lenses and bags and cases, filters, they're so good and they're cheap. I don't know how they do it. And Roger says, when I go to Hunt's Photo, they have always matched other dealers and OM system prices. Oh, okay. So that's something you can check if you want to buy locally from your camera store, and I highly encourage that. Uh, show them the email about an extra 5% off, and they'll probably honor it. And a lot of prices go up before Black Friday and then go back down on the day. Yeah, that's a common practice. So that's why I really like the new feature on Amazon. Um, if you go to, and you have to take this with a grain of salt, but they have this price history thing right here. And you can see the prices and then do a 90-day. So right now I'm looking at this filter. It's selling for $15. And this is amazing. So this is very helpful in me helping you guys, as I can look, when I find something that I think is a good deal, I can check this and confirm it. I used to use some other app called Keepa, but I just don't see a need for that anymore. I can just go, I just hate to have all these plugins on my browser and apps in my phone. Try to minimize as much as possible. So now I can just use this. So definitely check this. Yep, that's them. I didn't know they came as 2-packs, so I got 2. No problem. You can always keep a pair charged up, right? Ready to go. Keep a pair in your car, and keep keep a pair in your house if you're like me and I haven't turned the heat on today and it's well below zero. It was 20 degrees this morning. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but that's minus 10 maybe Celsius. I don't know. But yeah, it was cold. My house was 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And it still is. And it's supposed to get up to about 40 something later today outside. At which point I can probably turn on one of my heat pump space heater things. This thing's really good. It cost me $400, man, but it was worth it. And Mike says, love Heather, you should invite her more often. Sorry, the Dell monitor. Okay, cool. Oh, the Dell monitor from before. Yeah, that's a great monitor. Definitely a great monitor. And Chuck says the good thing with Keepa is you can set alerts for when price goes below certain. Yeah, so yeah, the Keepa app has some additional features other than price history that are actually pretty useful if you're really tracking something that you want to buy and you're not in a hurry and you can wait for it to go on sale. Then it will alert you. That's something Amazon doesn't do, right? They don't tell you when what you want is on sale. You have to create these lists and then check it, right, every day. Whereas Keepa, you don't have to keep checking every day. You can wait. Like I remember I used Keepa back on the original EM5 Mark, no, the OM5. I said keep an eye out on this camera when it goes down in price. And then ultimately I decided not to buy it. But it did alert me when the price went down $100 or something one time. Snack time. Yep. Feel free to go give her a bite. And hello, Ellie. Yeah, she's a star. Someone was asking if she was still around because they hadn't seen her in a while. But yeah, she's doing well. She's sitting right here next to me. most of the time during the live stream, she's usually just right behind me. Uh, but I don't know why she's jumping on me. I wonder if the feeder is empty. She doesn't know the word feeder. If I say anything else related to that word, she'll jump on me. Ah, she reminds me when I get a little bit HUNGRY. Uh, when she gets HUNGRY, she makes me HUNGRY. Okay. Any other questions? I don't see anything. It's pretty quiet today. We have 46 viewers here. Let me see if I can find. There was something on B&H. Yeah, no, nothing really. I mean, B&H has sort of their where's so B&H has their their daily deals. And if you're looking for these things, these are a great deal. But I don't see anything particularly useful here. Maybe this tripod, carbon fiber tripod for 120, but I think there are better deals out there. In fact, this has only 3 stars. Just looking at it, I can tell this is not going to be a good tripod. Nobody's going to spend $1,000 on a frickin' webcam basically, or wireless there's stuff here, but nothing particularly exciting to me. Oh, it was this one. This was like $12.99 yesterday. Oh, I thought it was Best Buy. It was B&H. Oh, I should have put that on my post yesterday so you guys could have got this deal. This is a killer deal. Core i9, RTX 5070, 32 gig of RAM, 2 terabyte, and a 240 hertz display. And it's an HP Omen. This is an excellent computer. So it's still a good deal at $1,549, but it wasn't, ugh. But anywho, yeah, all of these are not particularly great in terms of deals. Like you can get these deals kind of year round. I mean, like the Canon R5 Mark II, $500 off. When spring comes along, like March, April, they're gonna have some other way to get you $500 off. Maybe it's like trade in your camera and get $500 extra, or that's the most common deal I see is trade up events. But they have these deals, and then they have the summer deals, and then they have the fall deals, and then they have the winter and holiday deals. These go on sale all the time. The Z8 is a particularly good deal, $800 off. This may be hard to get later. So if you were thinking about a Nikon Z8, now is as good a time as any to get one. I don't see any reason to wait. $3,500 is a good deal. In fact, you're probably gonna have to wait till next year, spring, like winter time, to get this deal again. Of course, by then the Z8 Mark II will probably be out. But right now this is an excellent deal. Maybe that's why they're selling it so cheap. The Z8 Mark II is coming out next year. My guess, like late next year. So, there are some decent deals in here. But these are all pretty high dollar stuff, right? Which I don't focus on, because if you're shopping for this particular kind of, if you're shopping at these price points, it's a little too hard to really make a recommendation, because I don't know what kind of photographer you are, what lenses you already have. There's a lot more variables at these price points. When we're talking about a $10 filter, yeah, I can pretty much say, yeah, this is no-brainer territory. Just get it, $10. right? But if you're going to spend $2,000, $3,500, yeah, there's a lot more variables to consider at a very personal level. How does the camera feel in your hand? Or if it's a lens, how's this lens going to fit into your workflow? Are you paid professional or are you just an enthusiast? What's your tolerance for image quality, all kinds of things. Like I just reviewed this lens for $99. I mean, $99 for 50 millimeter f1.2. And I'm going to do a review for Micro Four Thirds for the same lens very soon. I have it. And I'm not going to complain too much for $99 on a lens like this, a 50 millimeter f1.2. If you watch my review on this, you'll kind of get the gist of it, right? It's a little bit soft, wide open, and that's about it. That's really the only problem with it. It's soft, wide open, but it's a pretty good lens otherwise. And Heather says the OM50 to 200 isn't talked about so much anymore. Wonder if it was all hype. I'm gonna wait for a used refurb someday. Yeah. Uh, I didn't really talk about it much when it came out because there's a 40 to 150 f2.8. That's so close to a 50 to 200, and it's like more than half the price. So if you need a 50 to 200, I think Robin Wong said it best. You need it, and you'll buy it. But it's not, I don't even need a 40 to 150 f2.8. I'm very happy with my 40 to 150 kit lens. Now I was gifted a 35 to 100 2.8 that I love using for events because it's much smaller than the 40 to 150, and the 35 to 100 range is more than enough for doing event photography. I have been considering the 12 to 100. If I had 2 or 3 event jobs this year, and I have not had 2 or 3 event jobs, I would have considered just buying one. But and I'm not actively seeking event jobs, so I can't justify 12 to 100. Although that would be the perfect event photography lens because you can get wide and telephoto all in one lens, and it's not terribly big. It's a little big, but it's better than swapping lenses because I was swapping between a 12 to 45 and a 35 to 100 constantly because 35 is not wide enough, but then 45 is not long enough. But 12 to 100, man, that'd be perfect. And I don't care about aperture. F4 is just about right for most events with respect to depth of field and doing flash photography on top of that. And the Great Van Zena says, I love to use primes, but age has caught up with me. I'm all about zooms now. Yeah. I got the Laowa 6 millimeter from your BH link. Tried at Christmas lights. They turned out good, but ISO is at 80. My default settings are 200 to 12K. Oh, so you're saying it was a user error. You set the wrong ISO. I get it. Hand warmers, Rob. Yes. And Max says, hi, Rob. On manual 50 millimeter f1.2 lenses for Fujifilm, any thoughts on 7 Artisans versus Per Gear versus TT Artisans? I don't have any of those other lenses to compare. I have tested the 50 millimeter 0.95, and it's pretty similar to this one, except this one's smaller and lighter. These lenses, all these super fast lenses from these third parties, they're all soft wide open as far as I can tell. Because I watch reviews on them myself, and I haven't seen any that are sharp wide open. So I don't think you can go wrong with really any of them. They're all going to perform about the same. Very simple design, like 6 or 7 elements grouped into 4 or 5, groups. They're just going to be soft wide open. Uh, so just pick the one that has the best price point and or is in the right lens mount that you want and is available, and you'll be okay. Because these lenses, like I said in my review of this lens, they're not about the optical quality. They're about kind of the character of the lens and being able to natively mount a vintage style lens to your camera. Because you can certainly go out and buy a 50 millimeter vintage lens and use an adapter, but ultimately you're paying about the same, if not more money, than you would if you just bought this to begin with. And this will give you the same, if not better, performance. One of the things I didn't mention in the review uh, is that a lot of the vintage lenses have only like 6 or 7 blades. Those are better for sun stars, but this one has 11 blades, which is better for getting smoother blurry backgrounds. So that's that's kind of a key difference between this and a vintage lens. But yeah, I can't really give you, Max, any real world hands-on experience between these different lenses. And Lauren just got in. Looks like it's cooling off here in California. Peso Robles. Only 68 for a high. State of emergency as we deploy sweaters, coats, and jackets to keep warm. Oh my God, Lauren, that video you sent me of the lady, the news reporter, when it started raining and she freaked out. That was awesome. That was awesome. And yeah, I feel you on about Instagram too. I hope you stay, but if not, just be sure you email me links to your portfolio. I like to look at your pictures time to time. And the Nikon D50 for 2K was released in 2017. Yes. Man, and used are selling for $14.69. It's this one here. It's $14.69 used. That's a great camera, but it's heavy. Man, that thing is a brick. I mean, it's a beast, right? It's like this big. In regards to deals on cameras for wanting the value and quality gear and just beginning photography, I'm thinking Nikon is a value leader. I would agree. I think it was Eric Jennings that pointed out the Nikon Z5 original on the refurb site was like $450. Full frame, 24 megapixel refurb by Nikon with Nikon warranty, $450. If we're talking about brand new cameras, that are recent, not like a D850, the Z5 Mark II is on sale now for $1,600. And that's a fabulous camera. The Nikon ZF, if you want to go vintage, is what, 18 or 1900 bucks. It's a little tempting for me sometimes. I mean, I was gassing for that camera when it first came out, and then I was like, I don't care. It just didn't interest me for the longest time. And now, I don't know, that it's kind of bubbling up in me again, like, that ZF is kind of nice. But then $2,000, I'd rather get back into the L mount system, to be honest. I'm still waiting for still waiting for that S1R Mark II to get cheaper. I could have picked one up for about $2,400 a couple months ago. I should have jumped on it then. Used one. But I think I'll wait till there's some more used ones on the market and hopefully the price will come down. If not, it's okay. I can get the original S1R, the Mark I, for $1,100-$1,200 still. And then with the difference in cost between the two cameras, I can, build up my lens collection again. And that's kind of what's holding me back is like, okay, do I really want to buy the S1R? Because I've had the S1R in the past. I really want to buy that again, build up the lenses, and then say, I'm never going to take this camera out because it's just too big and heavy, you know? But I miss it time to time. Because it just kills me how good the L mount glass is. It's so good for the price point. I mean, it's worth 3 times what they're asking for. And, the camera body doesn't matter. All the cameras produce about the same results. But the lenses in the L mount system are so good that it's just a joy to look at the images you get from an L mount system. At least it was for me. I really love the images from my S1R. But ultimately, things were, they still are, but things are tight, right? Over here at the Rob Trek house. And I was like, I need to get rid of this, you know, so that I think I got $1,500 back or something. I can't remember. But yeah, I said, I had to anyway. Yeah, the original S1R might be more likely than an S1R Mark II at this point. Because S1R II is just so expensive. And hey, Marco, how are you? And it's good to see you. Yeah, Ellie's my girl. All right. Any other questions or comments, feedback? You guys want to talk about anything? Because I don't think I've been on that long. Oh, frick, I've been on for over an hour. Maybe I can sign out. What do you guys want to do? Plus, I'm getting a little bit HUNGRY. And Lauren says, if you want to see more blur in the background for my photos, I take my eyeglasses off. I miss your humor. And the Z5 is 996 new. Primes are great and priced well. My last deal for MFT was the OM5 for 900. Yeah, that was a good deal. Because you got a lens with it, didn't you? It wasn't just the camera, but it came with like a lens, didn't it? For 900? Jeff says, don't forget the thumbs up. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Jeff. And I'm enjoying my Z52 as well. Yeah, the Z52, the Z30, these cameras are under $1,000 if I recall. Crazy. Crazy. The Z50 has that 20 megapixel APS-C sensor in it. That is probably the same one they used in the original D500. And that was a tremendous camera. And the Z52 is better than the D500 in every way. And the lenses are better in every way than they were on the original, F mount. So, yeah, I think Nikon has some great. I wish they would make more DX lenses, for people that are in that system because it's a great system. But just like Sony, they are pushing all their full frame stuff, right? And not making anything for APS-C. And that could be market driven, but it's partially marketing, right? They're just not marketing APS-C cameras. Oh, it's body only. Okay. Okay. So that was an okay deal. Yeah. That was okay. Wasn't a killer deal, I agree, but it was an okay deal back at the time. I remember I was tempted by that too. But ultimately, if I were to get an OM5, I would get the sand beige color. Man, that sand beige name, that's really that's just the worst marketing ever. Because like if you look at this, who's really good at names for colors are shoe companies. They're so good at it. Uh, like I've been shopping these boots. And where's the button? They got the best names. Tobacco, Shadow Gray, Walnut, Mocha, Brandy, Arizona Adobe, Stone Rambler, Dark Olive Suede, Old English. You know, it's like they know how to name their colors. Arizona Adobe, Black Matte, that's normal. Canyon, Burnt Copper, Safari. What if they called the OM5 Mark II Safari color? Oh my God, that thing would sell twice as many, right? I just, you know, they have a lot to learn about marketing. OM System does. Come out with a camera and call it sand beige. I mean, seriously, if they would have called it Safari Sand or I don't know, whatever these colors are, Arizona Sand, that would have been, oh man, that would have sold like hotcakes, I think. I mean, that's a little bit American though, right? Or USA. So maybe Safari would have been the right color because these boots are about the same color as the OM5 Mark II, right? Safari. They should have called it Safari color. Anyhow, Nikon Z50 1.8 glass is sharp and lovely. Yes, I agree. Nikon makes very good glass, no question. And Chuck says maybe when all the influencers start getting bad backs, we'll see a resurgence of MFD. That's hilarious. Like the Canon M system, not enough lenses. Yeah, that was a shame. I had a little Canon M50 for a while. Never used it. And wish OM system would follow Nikon's lead in firmware updates. Yeah. They definitely could do more on the firmware. I mean, I forget, someone emailed me yesterday with a bunch of great ideas for firmware updates. And Seraphin and I exchanged some messages on Instagram about updating the firmware so that you can select, you can turn off center weighted priority when you're using all focus points and face detect at the same time. I should make a video about that because I could send in a recommendation. We could all send in recommendations to OM System, but I don't think anybody listens. And then it's not just OM System, it's all the camera companies. None of them listen to their user base, okay? Um, they say they do, right? And this is how it works. They will say they listen to their customer base, right? And then they'll show the statistics or they'll back that up somehow, right? But all I can say is, you know, if you got a crowd of, let's say, thousands, tens of thousands of people, and a certain percentage of them, you know, are sending in recommendations, and out of that certain percentage, they uh, you're bound to run across somebody that made a recommendation about something that they're already doing. I'm not articulating this well. So let's say OM Systems, Nikon, Canon, Fuji, whoever is thinking about a firmware update. So, you know, we really need a firmware update. We want to add, say, like I know Sony, they wanted to add focus bracketing in camera. If you buy an older Sony camera, they're never going to update the firmware to include focus bracketing. You know, they put it in their new camera. My Sony a7R5, I think, was the first one to get focus bracketing in camera. Don't quote me on that, but it's fairly recent thing to have focus bracketing in a Sony camera. Why can't they add that in firmware update? But let's say they add focus bracketing in a firmware update to some of their older cameras. Then they're going to say, yeah, we were listening to our user base because they said they wanted focus bracketing, so we added. I don't know. It just, I feel like it's almost a waste of time. However, if I make a video I mean, I don't have a huge channel. Take Tony Northrup, for example. He has million plus people. I don't know how many he's up to now. But how long has he been harping on about putting security in the cameras, like thumbprint or security code or something? Years he's been doing that. Has any camera company implemented that yet? No. They're not even listening to the influencers online, the big ones like Tony. Nobody. They do whatever they want. Okay. Rob, you can get the S1R Mark II for $1,300 sometimes used. I have not seen the S1R Mark II for $1,300. The lowest I've ever seen it was $2,400. If you're talking about the S1R Mark I, yeah, $1,300, yeah, all day long, but not a Mark II. So if you find an S1R Mark II for $1,300 and it's not stolen, I'll give you $100 on top. I'll give you a finder's fee. Tommy says, I have the S5 too, but the original S5 is under $1,000 now if you don't need the PD autofocus. No, I don't need it. I had an S5 Mark I too. Or let me rephrase that. I used to have an S5 Mark I as well. And that, along with the S1R Mark I was so happy with the images. But the S5, yeah, the autofocus was not great. So that was one of the biggest problems with it. So I would have to look at an S5 Mark II, which are going for like $1,500 or less, right? The S1R Mark II, I'm sorry, the S1R Mark I, it doesn't have PD, phase detect autofocus either, but it makes up for it with a lot of other things. Not the least of which is the 47 megapixel sensor with amazing color, the lighted back buttons, and the top LCD display, and just a lot of things I loved about that camera. But the size was the problem. The size of the camera was the problem more so than the autofocus. Because I can get past the autofocusing on the original S5 Mark I and S1R Mark I. But if I'm going to spend another $1,000 to $2,000, I have a lot of options. So the S5 Mark II has crossed my mind quite a bit. So I'm a little torn between an S5 Mark II and an S1R Mark I. Because, they're about the same price. Assuming I keep the camera for 4 or 5 years or longer, the $100, $200 difference in price between those two is irrelevant. I'm a little torn because the S5 Mark II will have the better autofocus and amazing image quality. That 24 megapixel sensor is amazing. And it has the new LUTs. It has some neat things with the apps that you can do with it. So there's a lot of things I like about the S5 Mark II. And certainly the price point, like $1,500, $1,600. Amazing, amazing deal. Yeah, I might go with an S5 Mark II over an S1R Mark I, because the S1R Mark I, as great as that camera is, it's 5 years old now. And electronics, they don't last forever. I'd rather buy something a little newer and know it's fresh and will last me a long time versus an older used one. I don't know. I contradict myself sometimes, but yeah, I'm gassing for an L-mount system. I just don't know which way to go. Yeah, Safari sounds way better, right? Man. Rich Corinthian leather beige. Yeah, there you go. And if they actually put a leather handle on there or leather grip, that would be cool. And Paul says, would like to be able to switch burst speed without going into the menu in the OM1. At the moment, you have to tie up custom. So I don't know if it was you or someone else had made that recommendation about putting a burst button on the camera or being able to assign burst mode to a button. And David's still here. I hope you go to National Harbor for Saturday evening, December. I hope it's a bit warmer. Oh, so yeah, I'll be going there, Marcia. I know I'll be doing that. Very, very likely, because I signed up for it. But you know, it's holidays, right? So at the same time, something might come up, like a party or something, that I need to go to. And John is here. Good to see you, John. Hi from the UK. I've been in the stream for about half an hour. I'm very impressed by the Viltrox lens collection for my Nikon. I hesitate to tell you which model, though. All the Viltrox lenses are amazing. The autofocus ones are amazing lenses. I know we've gone back and forth about your 23 1.4. I know on my Fuji, the 23 1.4 is just flat out just one of the best, sharpest lenses, best lenses I have. The build quality, the image quality, you know, and then of course the fundamentals of the focal length and the fast aperture at 1.4. That lens, and then every time you send me an image in from your Nikon with that lens, I'm like, it's a little soft. And it just surprises me because I took mine out shortly after I was, you know, we were having that conversation. And I'm still getting great images from it. Just amazing. So, yeah, but I agree. In general, I don't hesitate to recommend any Viltrox lens. And whenever Viltrox, you know, emails me about reviewing their lenses, I always say, yeah, send me one because they're awesome. They're really awesome, and they're like $200 or less. And Tommy says, I have an S1R and I love it. I just wish it weren't so heavy. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened to me. It's like money no object. Like if I wasn't a little bit tight, especially at the time, I was really tight, I would not have gotten rid of it. But I see Peak Design now sports rope wrist and shoulder straps. They've had shoulder straps for a while. I don't know about rope wrists. Unless you're talking about they're having rope straps. Oh God, John. I've had gas at past. Killing me. Tommy says, I invested in the S5 II to use my S-Glass, and I use it when I'm not traveling. I use the G9 II for travel, and I like the fact that both cameras are the same form factor, and I set them up the same. Yep. Yeah, that was one of the main benefits that they were touting about the G9 Mark II having the same form factor as their S5, right? Was a lot of people might have both, and keeping them the same form factor was just a better workflow overall. Gas X, I have some of that. Never worked. Yes, some of the latest Sonys that, so Paul says some of the latest Sonys have that high-speed burst button. Surely wouldn't be that difficult to add it in firmware. Yeah, yeah, just, you know, so you could be like in single shot mode, but then you just press and hold, and now you're in continuous SH2 or something, right? I think that's what you mean. But yeah, that would be that would be all right, because it is a pain to switch shutter speeds, right? Or shutter modes. You either do it through the super control panel or custom mode, but it's not just a bip, right? Like bird on a stick, he's taking off, and then you know what I mean? Because that's a very common scenario, right? They're just sitting there on a stick, and you're getting a couple shots. You know, you don't want to be in SH2 for a bird on a stick, you know, because then you'll have 200 shots of a bird blinking, right? But, you know, bird on a stick and then bird in flight. Push and hold the button, and you're back. Or vice versa, push and hold to go to single shutter mode. I don't care which way, right? It's the workflow that matters. If I'm an SH2 and I push a button and I go into single shot, that would be just as good to me. But intuitively, it makes more sense to push a button to go into turbo mode, right? Because that's just how our brain works. More power, push a button. Not less power, push a button, right? Okay. All right. Let's see. Any other chat come up? I picked up the Peak Design rope wrist strap. Very happy with it. Oh, okay. Not familiar with it. Let me take a look, actually. Peak Design wrist strap. Because I have one of their older wrist straps. $60. Well, you know, I shouldn't be surprised. Right? But that's not the rope one. I mean, you can get one for, you can get basically a Peak Design strap for $7 here. There's one for 15. But this one is almost the exact copy. That's a leather wrist strap, but let's go to their store. Maybe it's on their store. These manufacturers don't update their stores very much. Because it might be available somewhere on Amazon. I have this thing. My God, $85. I never use it, but $85? But I will give them this. This is one of the greatest inventions ever. This particular buckle and snap style. Because these lugs are very, very small on your camera, you know? Like I bought generic ones, of course. You know, these generic ones in black. But it's compatible with Peak Design. I bought all generic Peak Design stuff, to be honest. Because I ain't paying $60 for a strap, but I do like this design quite a bit. It's easy to buckle, unbuckle, and it's universal. I can use one strap and have these on multiple cameras. And then just use the same strap across multiple cameras. For the longest time, I was making my own straps. And they got me by, but they were scratching up my camera because I had metal hooks and it was scratching the paint on the side of the camera. But I made them cheap, like $10. I made like 6 or 7 straps for $10. But I've upgraded to generic Peak Design. So you got the rope wrist strap. I can't find it. Oh, it's on B&H. Okay. So okay. Ah, $35. Wow. Pretty straightforward. Nylon rope with the Peak Design buckle. Excellent. You know, the thing with Peak Design, I'm being a little bit dramatic about the pricing. But honestly, you know, it's quality stuff, right? So you're gonna pay for it. I'm quite content with this cheaper stuff. But yeah, there's people out there, they're gonna buy, you're gonna want it like Jan here, you're gonna want to buy a quality item. Hopefully you can get it on sale, but if you want to buy a quality item, you really can't go wrong with Peak Design. You're gonna get a quality strap, a quality buckle, you know, uh, whatever else they sell, tripods, things like that. You're gonna get a quality component. I'm not saying, their bags are really nice too. I'm not saying they don't make duds. Every company has a dud somewhere, right? That has problems. But you can generally rely on Peak Design to give you a quality product. Uh, just be prepared to pay for it, right? You can get a black rope strap and pretend you're Alan Shaler. And the cuff rope wrist kelp, $39. Okay. So there's another one of these. The cuff rope wrist and kelp. Don't see that one here, but yeah, this is they're good stuff. If they went on sale more often, I would recommend them more because they don't go on sale very often, and when they do, it's like $10 off, like a $200 backpack or something. But sometimes they do have a good deal, right? I can't remember. And Peak Design makes an excellent gift for photographers, right? Like me, for example. If somebody bought me a Peak Design strap or wrist strap or whatever, don't nobody buy me a wrist strap. I'm not a wrist strap guy. But if somebody bought me a regular Peak Design strap, I would be happy. I would be so happy because I know that's a quality strap. But it's not something I would ever buy because they're so expensive. And I'm like, this $20 strap is fine, right? But if somebody bought me a Peak Design strap, yeah, I would be very happy. Um, so for gifting, when you guys buy gifts for photographers, yeah, some stuff is expensive, but you have to know the photographer. If you know the photographer is generally someone like me, always looking for the budget option, it doesn't mean we think the expensive things are not worth it. It just means, we don't want to spend that much when we can kind of get by with something cheaper, right? I can get by with these cheaper $20, $30 bags. I can get by with, a $50 backpack, right? But if somebody gave me a Peak Design backpack for Christmas or whatever, like I said, it doesn't mean I don't think they're worth that price. It just it's just the way I am. Like I went out to lunch the other day, or not lunch, dinner. And David, I don't know if he's still here, but David offered to buy me a drink, right? Like a soda or whatever drink. And we were at the MGM casino. If you guys were on my Sunday stream, you know the drama that happened there. But after that, we went there to eat and he offered to buy me a drink. And I looked up at the prices and it's MGM casino. $6 for a frickin' fountain soda. I said, David, I really appreciate it, but I cannot in good conscience pay $6. And I know you're paying for it, but I cannot in good conscience let you pay $6 for a soda. It's just not happening. I said, you give. So I asked for a cup of ice, and then I went and I looked for a water fountain. Okay. So, you know, uh, hopefully they didn't charge for the cup of ice. I don't know if you checked your receipt or not, Dave. Hopefully they did not, but yeah. So I'm very, very frugal. I mean, I have to be, but I'm very frugal. Even if I was wealthy, I'd probably still be a very frugal person, you know. Uh, just because it just there's just no reason why pay more when you don't have to, and that's why I do these streams every week. You could pay more, but why? If you don't have to, if you can get a deal or a sale or find something that's, you know, fairly decent at a much better price point, you should get it. Oh well. Anyway, I'm ranting enough. No charge for the ice. Okay. Yeah, that was just, I just can't do it. $6 for fountain soda. Are you kidding me? I mean, I get it. You're in a casino, everything's going to be inflated. But a fountain soda costs more than a slice of pizza from the same place. A slice of pepperoni sausage pizza was $5.46. Fountain soda, $6. Okay, free refills. All right. I would probably stay there all night until I got my $6 worth. And Lawrence says, small rig camera wrist strap, universal branded braided camera hand strap, adjustable safety strap, compatible for DSLR mirrorless, gray 5055. Okay. I'm just not a wrist strap guy, so I never shop these things, but I'll take a look. Small rig. You have to be careful with small rig. They've been buying rebranded stuff like white label products, and then they put their own brand on it. $10. So this guy here, right? So yeah, so standard nylon ripcord here. I don't know if that's real leather, but we have leather cap with another nylon cord here. But you see, this one doesn't have the buckle to quickly attach and detach. So with the Peak Design system, right, you can go from your wrist strap to your neck strap in a snap very easily. With something like this, you're pretty much committed to using the wrist strap until you take the time to take it off. So it's a big difference there. And Paul says, I've been using the cam kicks wrist straps off Amazon for the last 10 years. Never had any issues with them. I am thrifty like you, Rob. Yes. Thrifty, that's another good word. And Lauren says, the Peak Design connector system is good. I see many copycats making cheap stuff. Hope they take them to court. They could probably try. It's pretty frustrating, though. I remember hearing a story about somebody trying to sue them, sue this company for basically copycatting their stuff. Godox actually got sued by, I think it was Profoto. And that's why you see the magnetic rings now are gone on the Godoxes. They have a red ring in the front now, and you have to buy separately a magnet. But yeah. And David says, it's crazy that the fountain drink was more than that piece of pizza. Yeah, I know, right? And Sri says, my PGY Tech has been on since the last 2 years. Had to wash it time to time. Yeah, PGY Tech makes nice stuff too. I agree. Oops, I'm still on this this screen here. And just so Ellie gets the good food and not the cheap, she does. Blue Ridge Mountain. And I cook for her sometimes too. Actually, we have breakfast together. I cook usually 2 eggs and a potato, right? And she gets 1 egg and some of the potato. And then I get about 2/3 of it, and she gets about 1/3. We split breakfast every morning just about. So we appreciate you find some great deals, Rob. Yeah, sometimes we get some really good deals. I have not seen like a $10 messenger bag in a long time. Or like a $15 tripod in a long time. I still use that tripod. It's right here. I paid $16 for this tripod. And it's a great tripod. Trust me, I've been looking for it. I was using it just because I got to test this lens. But yeah, this, I don't know if you guys remember this one. Pro Gear. And it's a monopod. It converts here. You know, I don't care about that, but this tripod has been pretty solid. It's been working great. And of course, the tripod bag was like $3. That was a good deal. You know, there's some things that's my backup tripod. I just keep it in the trunk, or you know, that's what I tell people to do. Just keep one in your trunk. I actually keep two really nice tripods in my trunk, but you know, because they send them to me for reviews. So anyway, but this one I bought $16. I use it here in my house, my studio. My whole house is a studio, but I use them here in my studio, and it's awesome. The ball head really surprised me on this. The ball head is really good on it. And when I recommend tripods on my deal page, I always try to find ones that have a decent ball head on it and metal legs, right? Those are the most important thing. The joints and stuff are always going to be plastic at the price points I put on my page, but anyway, thank you, Jessica. I'm glad some of you appreciate that. Let's see. Soda is 99% profit. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think so. It's pretty, yeah, it was good pizza. It was very good pizza. Um, I'm getting hungry now. It's 12 o'clock, man. I think I'll call it here. So, you guys, it's been a lot of fun chatting with everyone today. I really appreciate your time, and I will most likely be back Friday uh, for my photo editing live stream, and Sunday's a little bit iffy. Depends on my party schedule. So, because I think I got two parties to go to on, well, two parties this weekend. So I'm not sure I'm going to have time. So if I don't see you guys again, you guys have a great holiday. I wish you all happy holidays, happy New Year. Uh, but beyond that, have a great rest of your day, rest of your week. Have a good life. Eat healthy, exercise, because I guys want you to be here with me a long time so that we can enjoy this hobby together. So thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you guys again soon.